Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be I'm going to be starting a yarn review video, but this is a little bit of a different take on the review videos that I've usually been doing. I am going to do like a Yarn Snob reviews Red Heart Super Saver yarn. I'm sitting here working on a pattern for another video and I have thoughts on Red Heart and I want to talk about it. So I have already started this video, the pattern. So I've been using the yarn already for a few days and I am literally using Red Heart Super Saver yarn. I haven't touched this in probably 10 years. So it's been a while. I think every crafter probably has used this at some point. You don't just have to be a knitter. I know my mom used to make little Santas when I was a kid and she would use Red Heart Super Saver for the beard. So I'm sure most crafters have used this at some point. And you know, it's fine yarn, but then you learn about other yarn. Sorry, I'm gonna be moving around. I thought I was covering the mic, but it's more comfortable this way. I'll talk really loud. Anyways, whenever you're not into yarns yet, everything it just seems fine. But then you start learning about other yarns, and then you realize like, hey, this doesn't feel as nice. But I'm like pleasantly surprised so far on my thoughts on using the Red Heart. So I am gonna just like jump into that really quickly because like I said, I've already started the project, which is right here. And I've had time to knit on it and think about it. So I got this yarn from a friend. Somebody reached out to me on Ravelry and asked if they could send me some yarn. And this was in the box. And initially I was like, okay, great, Red Heart Super Saver. I'm going to throw it in my bin and I'll probably use it for some tutorial eventually, which I'm sort of doing, but I haven't even considered using Red Heart since I basically learned how to knit. I crocheted first, but when I started knitting, I was kind of more involved with other kinds of yarns. Yes, they were acrylic, but they were like acrylic that was mixed with stuff. So I used to really like Lion Brand's Thick and Quick, which is acrylic and wool. So I have a very decent idea of what acrylic feels like. It's definitely a little bit plasticier. There's different kinds of acrylic yarns and how they feel and react. And Red Heart is probably bottom of the barrel of the acrylics in my opinion. It's definitely, you get your money's worth, you know, it's affordable. So it's plastic essentially. If you guys know what acrylic is, it'll melt if you put heat on it. I went into this thinking it's going to be just a great project for a great yarn for this project. It's going to be something I'm not really going to wear after this. It's really just for a video, just something for fun that I'm doing. And as I started knitting with it, I am using a 5 or 5.5 millimeter knitting needle, and I believe it's like a worsted weight yarn. And the gauge on it is just really nice. I don't know. I'll have to take the gauge measurements and put them on the screen for you guys so you can achieve the same gauge if you want to try out Red Heart after this video for like a sweater. As I started knitting with it, it is just, it's really light. Like the sweater itself is really light. I wouldn't say that it's like drapey, but it's not drapey. I definitely assumed it was going to be more stiff than this, and it's definitely not. It does have some give to it, and I think once I throw it in the washer and dryer, because you can throw this in the washer and not have to worry because it's acrylic. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited to see how the drape does loosen up, but I thought it would be like more scratchy, and I think maybe when I'm wearing it, it might be a little bit more scratchy, but I actually feel like I will wear this sweater if it turns out well. You guys will see another video about the sweater and why I'm like uncertain of how it's going to turn out. But yeah, I definitely see myself wearing it with like something under it is what I'm envisioning. Whenever I make sweaters, all I'm doing the whole time is just envisioning how I'm going to wear it when it's done. So I've been thinking about that, and I think it's just going to be a nice casual sweater and a workhorse sweater, you know? It's going to last a long time, I can tell. And I definitely did not expect it to feel like this nice. I don't know. Have you guys used Red Heart recently? And what are your thoughts on it? I'm going to continue knitting and I'm going to come back and show you guys the sweater when it's finished and after I wash it and stuff. So I'm going to have more thoughts and opinions as I go. But my initial opinions, I think this used to be like $2 to $3 back in the day. I haven't looked into Red Heart in a while, so I don't know what it is now. I'll put the price of what I found online. And so let's see. This is in the color Gray Heather. I know you can buy this at Walmart. It's accessible, it's affordable, and honestly, I'm pleasantly surprised. I don't know if I'm going to go out and buy a ton of Red Heart to make sweaters, but I may consider it whenever I'm doing tutorials and stuff in the future. So I don't know. I'm going to keep knitting. Those are my initial thoughts. I had 3 skeins of this, well, 2.5, and it's definitely going to be enough. I think this has, let's see here, 236 yards. So, I mean, that's definitely enough. It's a worsted weight yarn. I'm probably a size medium. I don't know if that helps you guys, but overall, I think this would be like a under $15 sweater, and if I like it, I'm excited about that. So, I'll see you guys with an update later. All right, I am back. I wasn't sure if I was going to continue on with this video because I didn't know if it was like lame, but I'm sitting here working on this sweater. I've been not knitting too much this week. I've just been busy because, you know, Christmas. But I was sitting here working on this. It's snowing outside, and I went to adjust it as I'm working on the sleeve. You know, you have to turn it a lot, and I felt the body again. And I feel like the more I'm working with the yarn and the more I'm moving it around, the softer it is becoming. Like, this feels like a store-bought sweater in like a good way. It feels like durable. It feels soft. It doesn't feel scratchy. Now, it might be a whole different story when I put it on my body. I do find that when I'm working on something, it feels soft, but then when I wear it, it feels a little bit itchy. But, like, I'm thoroughly impressed. I mean, look at it. It looks nice, right? It's a worsted weight yarn, and I'm using 5.5 or 6 millimeter knitting needles. But, I mean, I'm really impressed. Yeah, so Red Heart Super Saver is continuing to surprise me the more that I use it. So I just wanted to pop on here and say that, and I think maybe I will continue on with the video. It's not lame. If you guys are watching to this point, give it a thumbs up. So yeah, I'm gonna get back to work. So I ran out of yarn on the last sleeve at the very end, so I picked up another skein from Walmart. And this is the only skein that they had. I was hoping they had just the regular size skein. This was $8. I mean, it's, like I said, a jumbo skein, so it's like 2 skeins in one. But I just remember when I first started, this would have been like $5, $6 max. And the smaller skeins were like $3.77. So I think the price definitely has gone up, as with everything, but I guess this is going to be the true test because the yarn that I was originally using, it's in the same colorway as this jumbo skein, the Gray Heather, but the dye lots, there's not a chance that they're even close to each other. This was a gift it to me yarn. I don't know how long she's had it in her stash, but this is a brand new yarn. So it looks like it's going to match pretty well. If anything, it's just going to be a touch lighter. I guess we're going to find out. I'm going to finish the sleeve, and then we're going to have a completed sweater, and then I'll come to you guys to show you what it looks like before I throw it in the washing machine. And I guess let's continue. So far, so good. Like I said, I'm really enjoying it. The more that I move it around and it gets like worn in, such as the body, since I finished it first, I've been tossing it around, doing the sleeves, and it's definitely softening up. So I'm excited to throw it in the wash. The only thing that I've come to that's like a little bit, you know, it's commercial yarn, and there are parts where it might be a little thicker, as if it like didn't get twisted well enough, or it had like a chunk in the material when they did twist it, but it hasn't been anything major. And then on the back, there's been a couple of spots where it had like some dark fibers in it, but overall, I mean, it's not very heathery per se, but it does have a little bit of texture as far as the color assortment goes. It's not just like one random gray color. It does have a little bit of highlighting and darkness to it, but I don't know if I'd call it heather necessarily. But yeah. All right, guys, so I've finished the sweater, and this is what it looks like before I throw it in the washing machine. So overall, I mean, without throwing it in the washing machine, it is fine. Like, it's a little stiff in the sleeves, but the body has, you know, loosened up while I was knitting. And I think with acrylic yarn, it doesn't really grow when you block it, but I do think it loosens the stitches up and lets them relax a little bit. I think you can see it the most in the sleeves that, you know, it's stiff. Like, this isn't flowing when it's hanging. It's literally just stuck there. I can feel it on my body that it's a little stiff. But again, this body of it seems fine. Like, it doesn't really feel stiff or anything. The collar doesn't really want to stay down necessarily, and that could just be because I should have knit it longer, but we'll see what happens after I take it out of the dryer. Hopefully it'll be a little bit more flexible and want to stay down some. And overall, this is where it's sitting. My belly button is right here, so I guess this will be a good indication on if it grows any, but I'm not predicting any growth in the sweater because, again, I don't really think acrylic grows when you block it. It kind of just gets a little bit more drapey, but I am overall very pleased with the sweater. I believe this is, I believe this is the one where I had to use the yarn, the new yarn on, so I do think that the dye lot was a little bit different. Do I think you can tell? No, not in person at all. I don't think that you can notice that the yarn is a little bit lighter. And I got really lucky because I really only needed it for the cuff. So it's not like there's a big difference in the stockinette. I think if I did it in the body, you would be able to see a line a lot better. But since I basically started the new skein of yarn in the cuff, you really can't tell. But I think that you would be okay not necessarily getting the same dye lot if you run out of yarn like I did. But as always, it just depends, really. They do the best that they can to make them the same, but you're never going to get it exact. And I think even if it's the same dye lot, you can still run into that issue, as I have in the past. So this is what it looks like pre-blocking. And I'm just excited to see what it looks like when it's done. The project was a lot of fun. I'm gonna have a whole video on this sweater design because it was a really fun little thing that I set out to do because my friend inspired me. So keep an eye out for that video if you're interested in the sweater design itself. But overall, I am pretty impressed with Red Heart Super Saver at this point. I really can't wait to see what it turns out to look like when it's completely blocked. I'm really happy with the length of the sleeves right now. So I just really want them to loosen up. This does give me like a sweatshirt vibe that I'm kind of into. And I actually do see myself wearing this sweater to like work or something. I think it's very work appropriate. Now, I also think it's going to be very durable. It feels really durable. It's soft on my body. I'm not feeling itchy or scratchy at all. It doesn't feel anything but soft, honestly. It just feels like I bought it from the store, which is really cool. That's what you want to go for in a sweater. I know with like wools and stuff, they can kind of be a little itchy depending on what kinds of wools you are using and your sensitivity of your skin. But this Red Heart Super Saver has shocked me. In the skein, it feels scratchy as all else, but once you knit it up, and I do think gauge plays a big role in commercial yarn usage. If you're using a cheaper yarn, using a more affordable yarn, I don't like to use the word cheap if I can avoid it. If you're using a more affordable yarn, I definitely think that if you use the right gauge with it, you're gonna get a nice drape, you're gonna get a nice feel to it because it's acrylic, it's soft. There are some acrylics that are definitely more plasticky, and I think Red Heart would fall into that category typically. But in this case, I think that I used the right gauge, and as I've worked with it, like I said, it's loosened up, it feels a lot softer, and I'm very excited about this sweater. I'm planning on using the remaining skein that I had to buy to make my dog a sweater to match me. So I think it'll be perfect for an animal as well, because like I said, it's pretty durable. I'll be able to throw it in the washer and dryer, and I'm excited. So let's go ahead, get this blocking. It's not gonna be a typical blocking as I would normally show you guys in a yarn review video. It's definitely just gonna be me washing it and drying it, and then I'll come back and show you what it looks like. And if it's a little stiffer. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Okay, bye. All right, we have a finished sweater, and oh my God, I pulled this out of the dryer literally just like 10 minutes ago, and I touched it, and this is the softest sweater I've ever knit. Like, I use a lot of wool, hence yarn snob reviews, but this is like game changing. I did not expect this at all. I wish you guys could feel, like, I think you can see just in the wearing it how drapey it got, but feeling it is like 20 times better. It like thinned out a little bit in the way where it's like drapier and not so like stiff as I was hoping. It didn't grow at all. I feel like everything fits exactly like it did before, but now it's just like drapey and soft and squishy and high quality. Like, it definitely softened up, you guys. So I'm thinking that the more I wear it, the more I wash it, it's just going to be lovely. I kind of put in another sweater with some Red Heart just for funsies to see if it was like a fluke or whatever. But I'm really glad that I decided to do this other video and use this yarn that was in my stash that I was gifted, that I was like, I don't know if I'll ever use this, but I felt so motivated, and I'm so happy that I did, because this yarn is like game changing. I never would have thought to make a garment out of Red Heart Super Saver, and overall I feel like this sweater cost about $20 to make. I feel like each skein, I used about 3 skeins total, and those are about $4 each, so roughly $12, $15. So I think it's totally worth it if you are a new knitter and you want to get into sweater knitting to try out Red Heart Super Saver for your first sweater. Like I said, I'm totally going to wear this sweater. It's very warm. I am getting toasty. It's also a little bit of a warmer day outside, and that probably has something to do with it. But I definitely really enjoy the look of the sweater, the feel of the sweater, the quality just feels quite nice for what it is. And I'm not just over exaggerating. Like I said, I've been using wool yarns exclusively for years, and I would turn my nose up at acrylics. Not for like my knitting business where I do craft shows and stuff. I do like acrylic. There's acrylics out there that I think are great for that sort of thing. But for myself, making a sweater for myself, or if I were gonna make a sweater for somebody else, I wouldn't go to acrylic, because I would be like, this isn't high quality enough. I need to keep my brand high quality, this, that, and the other. But overall, I'm really excited that I'm deciding to do this Yarn Snob review series, because it's really getting me out of my comfort zone, and I just really can't wait to continue the series into 2023. If you guys are still watching this in 2022, that is. But over the next year, I really want to try out a bunch of different affordable yarns. So if you are interested in having me review a more affordable yarn that you would find at a big box store or whatever, leave a comment down below on what you'd like to see, because I'd love to test it out for you guys, and different kinds of projects, probably mostly sweaters and tops, because that's what I like to knit the most. And like I said, this one I'm actually gonna enjoy wearing. I'm really excited that I have it in my wardrobe, and I just like took a dive in to give it a shot. Because like I said at the beginning of this video, I haven't used Red Heart Super Saver since I started my knitting, which I started crocheting, and that's when I tried Red Heart for the first time. And that was back in college. So that was like 10 years ago. So it's been a really long time, and I really enjoyed it, and I can't wait to make my dog a sweater with the remaining yarn that I have. He's sitting behind the camera staring at me right now, looking at me like I'm crazy, because I kind of am. But that is really all I have to say. I have nothing but good things to say. The quality of the yarn when you're knitting with it feels a little scratchy, and you're like, what am I doing? But once you like get it knit up in like a gauge such as this, it feels really nice. And once you wash it, it's a whole different ballpark. I literally just threw it in with my regular clothes because I needed to do a load of laundry anyways. I wash my clothes in cold water, and then I dry on low heat for everything, just for energy purposes really. And it came out lovely. I was really worried when I took it out of the washing machine because it felt really like hard and stiff. If you guys know anything about acrylic, it's kind of basically plastic. So when you get it wet, it feels really uncomfortable. Or like I used to steam block a lot, and it feels like almost like it's melting and hard and crunchy. So I was kind of worried that I ruined it. But as soon as I put it in the dryer and took it out, it was the first thing I felt, and I instantly was like, this is the sweater. Like, you could just tell the quality of a hand knit piece is out of this world. And it just goes to show that it's really the quality of knitting rather than the materials used, you can make affordable materials quality products, as I'm exhibiting right here. So I highly recommend. I give it a 10 out of 10 for sure. The only flaw, like I said, that it had was there were some parts that were like a little bit less spun than others, and it was very rare that I found that. So yeah, I was even able to do tubular bind offs, no problem, and the knitting was enjoyable. It wasn't hurting my hands at all, so I'm very happy and pleased. And again, I'm probably going to use more Red Heart very soon to make my dog a sweater, if not myself another one. It's definitely going to be a good yarn for me to test out some ideas that I have in my head and also to make tutorials with. So I'm excited for what's to come. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up. Again, leave a comment down below on what yarns you'd like to see me review, and subscribe to my channel for more random content. Bye!